Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the screen on this mid 2017 13-inch MacBook Pro model A1708. Right, so first thing we're going to do is remove the bottom cover. So to do that, we're going to take a pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. Alright, the other screwdrivers we will need is a pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. We'll also need a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, a T3 Torx 3 screwdriver, and possibly a T4 Torx 4 screwdriver. Right, so first thing, again, we're going to use the pentalobe 1.2 or P5, and we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So we have this U shape here, so we're going to remove that first. Right? If this video helps you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share my channel with others. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. These are customer computers that I'm working on. Right? So by the time you see this video, I'm likely not going to have it anymore. But yeah. Alright, so let me make sure I get these screws in order. It's very important that you follow all the steps, so don't just skip all over the place, because there's a good chance that if you skip all over through the video, you're going to miss a step and then you're going to damage your computer. Alright, so keep that in mind. If you know what you're doing already, then you shouldn't need to watch the video. So if you don't, make sure that you follow along. Alright, so we're going to use a suction cup to make this easier to open. You can also use two pieces of tape, just stick them like that and then make them meet in the middle to have like a pull tab. But anyways, we're going to use a suction cup. We're just lifting it up slightly so we can get underneath this cover. You can use plastic tools, you don't need to use fingernails, but fingernails for me work better. Alright, so we're going to go along the edge here. I'm going to push down the side here while I pull up with my fingernails, just like that, to pop the clips out. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Get along there, push down and pull up, and there we go. Alright, so it is held in place with some sliding mechanisms here. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab this metal plate that we got popped open, and we're going to pull down on here while we kind of push here. I have my fingers wrapped over so it doesn't fall over, and then I have my fingernails running along the edge here, so that way if I get scraped, it's just going to scrape my fingernails and not my fingers. Alright, so we're going to pull down just like that. A lot of times this cover is very difficult to remove, so keep that in mind. We're just going to pull this down just like that. Sometimes it doesn't come out that easily. Alright, so as you can see, it's pretty dusty in here. So I'm going to clean the dust out. I'm just using a toothbrush, and then I have an electric air blower that I'm going to use to blow the dust out. Right, if you use those air canisters, you want to make sure not to just keep holding it. You have to like do it in short bursts. Otherwise, the cold air can actually cause condensation and can cause liquid damage in the computer. Alright, so let me clean this up and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So cleaned out the dust inside. Okay, as you can see, it's a lot cleaner. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove this plastic cover here. Let me zoom in so you can see this better. Sorry, I have a bunch of customers coming, so let's see. Alright, so just slowly peel this up. Okay, just like this. Alright, you want to carefully and slowly peel it up. If it peels up this plastic layer down here and it traps this wire in place, you want to be very careful. You can actually leave that and then just undo this cable first and then just move the whole thing with it. But yeah, there you go. So we removed it just like that. We'll set that aside. Now we're going to disconnect the battery. We're going to hold this plastic tab out of the way, okay? And then we're going to flip this latch up here. So I just used my fingernail to do that. Again, you can use plastic pry tools. So there we go. Flip that latch up. Now we're going to grab this cable as close as we can to the connector and then just pull it back. And now we disconnected the battery. We're going to also want to disconnect the screw and that battery connector under there. So to do that, we're going to use a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. All right, so let's go ahead and switch to that. So we got the T5 screwdriver. We're going to remove the one screw. Okay, after you remove that screw, this metal tab actually stays down, so you actually want to get underneath and lift it up slightly so that it's no longer staying connected. So here you can see now it stays up. After you've done that, the battery's completely disconnected. We're going to open up the computer, and then we're going to press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. This will drain any residual power from the logic board, and it will make it a lot safer to work on. All right, so we're going to hold it for about another 5 seconds. A lot of people ask me if they have to do that. I mean, it takes 15 seconds. Just do it. It's worth the few seconds in order to save you from accidentally damaging hundreds to thousands of dollars of your device. All right. So anyways, now that we've got that out, we're going to go ahead and remove the other T5 screws. Normally it would be easier to do the T3 screws first, but because I have the T5 screwdriver already done, we're going to go ahead and remove all the T5 screws at the same time. So we're going to remove these. Again, keep all these screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. If you mix them up, you can damage your computer. All right. So we're going to remove all 4 of these T5 screws. All right, so there's 4 along here, and then there's 1 holding down the wireless antennas down here. Okay, so you can get all of those. Again, try and keep them all in order. And we got the last screw here. All right, now that we got those, if you want, you can go ahead and disconnect the wireless antennas here. So the way you disconnect the wireless antennas, you just get underneath. All right, you can use tweezers to do this. I just use my fingernails and get underneath the tail and then just pull it straight up just like that. And we're going to do that on both sides. Underneath the tail, pull it, and there we go. All right, so now we got the wireless antennas out. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to switch over to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. All right, on some models, this screen, they use a T4, but I think these are all T3. Yeah, these are all T3. So we don't need the T4 or Torx 4 screwdriver for this model. All right. I think the ones that need the T4 have actually silver screws here. But anyways, we're going to start from left to right. So let's go ahead and remove the 2 T4 or Torx 4 screws here. I forgot to mention you will also need a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Okay. So remove those 2 screws. Once you've done that, you can lift this up and then you can pull it back just like that and take that out. Right? Again, make sure to keep all the screws and everything in order. Next, we're going to remove the 4 screws here, these 2 holding the metal bracket, and then the 2 holding this black spring-loaded plastic piece. Okay? So we're going to remove those 2. Because I removed the 5 screws already, or the 4 screws holding this, the bar back here, it's going to be moving around like that. So again, you can actually do the T5 screws first. That way this part isn't moving around while you're removing all these other screws. It's not really that important because if you do damage this board, this is part of the replacement screen. So it's not really a big deal, but you don't want to accidentally damage this because this cable is for the motherboard. So it's very important you don't damage that. All right, so let's go ahead now and remove these screws. All right. So we've got 2 screws here. This holds down the connector for the screen LCD that connects it to the motherboard or logic board. Once you get those 2 screws out, you can go ahead and get this this metal cover off and set that aside. Then we're going to remove these 2 screws as well. All right. Just like that. And then we'll go ahead and remove this metal cover as well. Now we can actually pop out this connector. So hold this board down and then get underneath again with a plastic pry tool or your fingernails and just pop it up. And there we go. Now we got the LCD connector disconnected. Again, it's very important that you press and hold the power button for 15 seconds after removing the battery connection. If you don't do that, there's a good chance you can damage your MacBook. All right, so let's go ahead and remove those 2 screws here. Take this metal plate off as well. And then we got 2 more screws here. Okay, again, we're just going left to right. So we still got a bunch more screws over to the right. Or I guess 2 screws. All right, so we got that. All right, then we got the 2 more screws over here for this bracket. We're going to remove those 2 as well. All right, just like that. Okay, same thing, lift this plastic piece up and pull it out. All right, next thing we're going to do is remove all these little screws here. These are Pentalobe 0.8 or what is it, P2? Yep, okay, I'm just mixing up my screwdrivers. There we go. So we're going to remove all these screws here. Again, keep them in order. All right. Just like this. We're going to just get all these out. I know it's a lot of screws. We're almost there. All right. So we got that row out. We're going to go over to the right and same thing, remove all those screws. All right, we're almost there. All right, almost done. So now we're going to remove the wireless board. Let's zoom out a bit. Okay, so to remove this, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull this up and then we're gonna pull that out. So I'll show you. We're also going to need the T8 screwdriver, so I'm gonna get that. All right, let's go ahead and remove this. So here you can see now that we removed these screws, you can lift this up. I like to go to the centermost. These are the air vents for the air to go out, exhaust vents. So I like to go to as close to the center, and then you kind of use that to help pull this up, right? You might have to wiggle it a little, but you kind of just pull it, wiggle it. Why isn't it coming out? There we go. All right, so there we go. It pops out like that. Now we're gonna lift this up slightly, and we have to route this through the little hole there. So we're gonna pull that there, and then we're gonna rotate this to get the wireless antennas through that little hole for the, yep. All right, so there we go. That's the wireless antennas. If you break this, then your wireless won't work. So keep that in mind, keep that safe. All right, so now we're going to get the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Let's go ahead now and open up the screen all the way. All right, you want to open it completely until it doesn't open anymore, but make sure not to pull too hard. You don't want to break the hinge mechanism area. All right, now that we got that, as you can see, I'm laying the keyboard face down on my desk, and then we got the hinges over here. Let's see if I can adjust my camera to be a little bit less crooked. Okay, there we go. So now we got the screen actually hanging over the edge of the desk, and I'm holding it in my lap so that it doesn't fall out as I remove these 6 screws holding the hinges in place. All right, so we're gonna now just remove these 6 screws. Okay. It helps also when you put these back to use some thread locker so that the screws don't come loose. If you don't have it, you don't need it, but if your screen ever feels wobbly, you'll want to double check these screws and make sure that they are tightened. Okay, so we're almost done. All right, now we got all 6 screws out. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna let the screen fall to 90 degrees, and then you can actually lift the screen out. So there we go. So now we got the replacement or the old screen there. Just set that aside. Right, now we need to unwrap the new screen. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Give me a second. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had a couple customers show up. So we're gonna prep the new screen. So first thing you wanna do is make sure these hinges are open all the way. If you can't turn them by hand, you can use your screwdriver, the T8. Just get it in the screw hole, and then you can use that to help rotate the hinge, all right? So just like that, and rotate it. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove this piece of tape here. Let's actually move the Mac out of the way for a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna get this here, and we're gonna peel up this adhesive. And you wanna be careful, you wanna hold this down so that way when you peel this up, you're not gonna accidentally pull up the control board of the screen, okay? So hold this down, and then you're gonna peel this up while holding that down, good. And just peel that tape off. I'm gonna just stick this here. All right, we're gonna take this out, set that aside, we don't need it anymore. Then we're gonna peel this tape off and we're gonna get this out. Actually, you can leave this on until you have the screen completely installed. So let's actually leave that on just to keep it a little protected. All right, so let's get the MacBook back up here. All right, so like before, we're gonna drop this in at about 90 degrees. Let me zoom out a tiny bit more. Okay, so we're gonna drop this in at about 90 degrees. You do want to make sure to hold these cables out of the way. Okay, so you are gonna wanna hold these up and out of the way. I just get my fingers under there. Okay, so I'll hold this here, just like that, with my fingers holding that, and we'll slowly drop that into place. Once you get those over this area, you can actually let go and let them drop in. All right, then we're gonna get these hinges in. Again, you wanna make sure to have them at about 90 degrees for them to fall into place properly. So just like this. Okay, you might have to kind of wiggle it around and adjust it a bit to get them to go in. This side isn't seeming to wanna go in properly, so we might have to adjust it a bit to get it to go. Okay, so I don't know. This looks like it might not go in right, so maybe the replacement screen is faulty or something. Let's take a look here. Here you can see this hinge. The gap is not very good, so this might not actually work. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna try and bend this by hand. So I'm gonna try and adjust this hinge, but likely I might have to get a replacement. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my screwdriver in here on the furthest screw mount possible, and then I'm gonna use that to help kind of rotate it away from the screen, if possible. Okay, let's see if we can get that in now. Same thing, we gotta kind of hold these connectors out of the way. Let's try and get that side in first. Yeah, no, I don't know if that's gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna slide it in over from the left. There we go. Now that we got that, let's go ahead now and drop this one in. And there we go. Okay, so we got it all lined up. Good. All right, make sure this connector is on top, the screen LCD connector. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna get the hinge screws. I like to put these center ones in first. Okay. Just like this. There we go. And then we're gonna slowly close the screen. So just like this. Very slowly, carefully close it up. All right, there we go. And if you want, you can peel off that. I'm gonna leave it on for a bit so that we can make sure it doesn't get scraped around on the desk. I'm gonna loosen these screws a little. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and center this, make sure everything is aligned properly, okay? Make sure the edges are aligned. Okay, everything looks good. And then we can go ahead and tighten this down. Just like that. Again, I'm gonna add some thread locker in here just to make sure that it doesn't come loose. All right, so let's zoom in again. Sorry, it's wiggling all over the place. So I like to use red thread locker on the hinges because a lot of times I see the hinge screws come loose. The red makes sure that that doesn't happen. All right, so we're gonna get the screws and we're gonna add just a tiny bit of the red thread locker. Okay, just a little, not even a drip. Then we're gonna go ahead and get that in. Okay, just like that. Tighten that screw into place. Good. All right, and now we're gonna do this. Oops, sorry, I was going out of view. So I got that screw in, and we're gonna do that for all 6 screws. Okay, there we go. Get that one in. Tighten that into place. All right, we're gonna take this one back out. Same thing. Just adding a little to each screw. Go ahead and tighten that in. All right, we're gonna work on this side now. Just like that. Tighten that in. Alright, tighten that one in. Good. Alright, let's take this other screw out. And we'll tighten this one in. Alright, there we go. Alright, now we got all the hinge screws in. Put the thread locker away. Alright, let's rotate this, flip this back over. Alright, so to make this easier, what I like to do is let's start with the T3 or Torx 3 screws. Oops, I'm getting them all mixed up, sorry. Okay, we got the T3 or Torx 3, and I like to put these spring-loaded ones first. So what we're gonna do, let's zoom in here so you guys can see better. Okay, so now we're gonna rotate these spring-loaded ones. Okay, you want to rotate them, and then you're gonna hold that into place. And now let's go ahead and put these screws back in. You'll see why in a bit. But basically, I want to hold these down so that way the wireless antennas can sit properly on top and not have to worry about it being all messed up. Okay, so we got that. Let's tighten this screw in. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, again, you want to make sure this cable ends up on top later, but right now it's not important. Alright, so hold that into place again. Okay, get the screw, tighten that into place. There we go. Alright, get the second screw, and we'll tighten this one into place. There we go. Good. Alright, now we got all those screws in. We're gonna make sure to get the wireless antennas in, but let's go ahead and get this back on top. Alright, so let's zoom out again. Alright, so to get the wireless antennas in, we are going to have to put it like this. You can actually bend them back a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Get this underneath this board here. Okay, and then guide it through that little hole there on the side. Okay. What is it hitting? Okay, make sure they're not overlapping. There we go. There we go. Guide it and then just swing it around. Make sure this piece goes out as well. A lot of times it tries to go underneath, so you are going to have to help lift that up. And then you can go ahead and pull that in. All right. Now to snap this into place, the middle piece has some little like bumps on a metal plates like this, and it basically just grips like that over the middle. So what you're going to do is hold the center of this, pull it that way, okay, as close as you can, and then while you're holding that, push down the center, okay, and that should get it in place. You'll know because if you try and lift this up again, it holds itself in place. All right, so if you were to just see, now it doesn't pull out that easily, and that's how you know you got it in place. All right, so make sure push it back down. All right, next thing we're still using the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver, so we can go ahead and actually put all these pieces back. But to make it safer, you want to actually put the T5 screws in first. So let's go ahead and put the T5 or Torx 5 screws in first. This will keep the board here lined up in the proper spot. Okay, so we're going to get this in first, and I'm loosely fitting it so that we can kind of adjust it, make sure everything is lined up properly. Okay, like that. You can see it's loose and lined up. All right, get the other one, same thing. Leave it a little bit loose. Okay, this screw, same thing. line it up. There we go. And now we can go ahead and tighten down the screws for the LCD board here. Okay, hopefully you guys are able to see everything and I'm not accidentally filming outside. There we go. All right, we can go ahead now and screw in the one for the wireless antenna here. Let's screw in. Okay, go and tighten that down. All right, now let's go ahead and reconnect the wireless antennas. Let me zoom in here to make it easier for you guys to see. Okay, so what we're gonna do, just grab the wireless antenna and guide it over. You wanna make sure it's completely lined up. The way you know is if it's lined up and you try and move it, as you can see it's kind of staying in place, then you can go ahead and push it down. All right, oops. Make sure it's completely lined up, because if you push it, you try and force it down when it's not lined up, you can actually damage the connectors very easily, and then you're never going to have wireless again. All right, so make sure to line it up, guide it properly. Okay, make sure it's good, and then go ahead and push that down. There we go. We got the wireless antennas into place. Let's go ahead now and get all these T3 or Torx 3 screws back in. Okay, switching back to the T3 screwdriver. Okay, it helps to get the screw onto the screwdriver here, and then you grab the metal plate, and while you're using that, you can use that to help guide the screw, just like that. Okay, I just loosely fit it first, as you can see, so that you can move it around. Okay, so that way now we can get it lined up, and then go ahead and tighten that down. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing over here. If you want, you can go ahead and push down the connector first. A lot of times you do have to push this way to get it lined up properly. Okay, make sure it's in place and not popping out on its own. As you can see, it's staying in. All right, make sure it's pushed down. We're going to get this metal plate for that connector first, and we'll put that in. Okay, so we're going to hold this into place, get the screw in, and we'll tighten that loosely. All right, get the other one lined up, and we'll tighten this into place. There we go. Tighten that down. Good. All right, let's get the other one. All right, loosely fit it first. Second screw. All right, make sure it's lined up. Get that screw in. Tighten that into place. All right, we're almost there. Get that screw tightened down as well. All right, let's get this metal plate on as well. Okay. Second one. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and get the plastic hinge covers on as well. So get that, line it up. I'm going to get that in at an angle, just like that. All right, and we're going to get these screws in. Okay, I always loosely fit them if they're attached to the same piece to make sure everything is lined up, and then I go ahead and tighten them afterwards. All right, just like that. Other side, same thing. Get that into place. Okay. Go, drop it down. Get that screw in. The other screw in. Okay, and then we can go ahead and tighten it. All right, we're done with the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. we're now going to switch over to the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. Okay, when I put these screws in, you want to hold this, squeeze this in place. I'm going to put this screw first. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put this outer screw. That way it holds itself in place. Okay, make sure to hold that down. There we go, and then we can get all the rest in. And do the same thing on the other side as well. All right, just like that. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and do the other side. All right, same thing. All right, I like to hold this into place, and then we'll tighten that. Second screw, same thing, hold that in place, tighten that, go, and then get all the rest of those screws in. All right. Hopefully people are able to just follow along. I like to do the videos in real time so that way people can easily follow along. Don't have to keep pausing and playing and pausing and playing. There we go. All right. Also, you can see exactly what I'm doing, how long it takes and everything like that. There we go. So we got all those screws in. Now we just have the battery connectors to put back. So let's go back down here. Okay. We're done with the P2. We're going to now switch over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Sorry, I'm putting back my screw bits. All right, P5. Get this screw, make sure this connector is out of the way. Get that screw in and tighten it down. I'm using the wrong one. Okay, make sure you're using the T5 Torx 5 screwdriver, not the Pentalobe or the P5. All right, once you got that, we're going to reconnect this. So just get it lined up. This tab kind of gets in the way for you to see, but get that in. All right, I like to use the tab to help pull it all the way into place. And then here you can see, you will see a little bit of the gold pin showing. That's normal. Slide your finger over the latch, and there we go. Let's go ahead and get this plastic piece back on top. So I like to line it up like this. When I see the screw mounts lined up, then we can roll it over and just connect it like that. There we go. All right, now let's put the bottom cover on. You don't want to snap it in right away because you want to test the screen first. So what you do is you just take it like this first, and you just go ahead and click one of the sides in. Then we can flip this over. I'm going to open this up. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get the charger here and plug that in. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in. If you don't plug it in, you won't be able to turn it on. Once you plug it in, you'll actually feel that the trackpad clicks. That's how you know it's on. I can actually see the Apple logo. So we should be good. Let's go ahead and peel this stuff off. Okay. Peel off both the front and the back. And there we go. So we should be good. You also want to do a PRAM and SMC reset if you can. So let's go ahead and try doing that. Okay, so I'm going to let me shut it down first, excuse me. So to do the SMC reset, the newer models, I think they removed this, but yeah, I think the 2017 still works. So Control Option Shift on the left side, and then the power button, and that does an SMC reset. Now we're going to do a PRAM reset. So to do that, you power it on, and then immediately Command Option P and R, hold those buttons down. You'll see the screen come on, it should shut back off, and that's how you know you did the PRAM reset. It's hard to see because the screen will be like a light colored, but if you want, you can keep holding it for longer. Anyways, the computer will turn itself back on once you've done the PRAM reset right. So there you go, and it will chime. So I'll show you the PRAM reset again, and then I'll show you how to redo the bottom cover. But that's how you do the PRAM reset. Okay, and then once this loads up properly, I'm going to do it one more time to show you. When the sound is on and you can hear the chime, it's easier to know that you did the PRAM reset because you'll hear the chime go twice. So let me show you. Okay, so let's restart the computer, and then I'm going to do Command Option P and R. We're going to hold on to those. You should hear the chime because the sound was reset. Hopefully you should hear the chime. Or I guess not. Okay, I guess they changed it on this one. So you'll see the screen come on and then it should come back off. If you can't see it, you can turn the lights off and it'll be easier for you to see. The screen has like a slight bluish purple color. So here you hear the chime. I'm going to keep holding it. And I guess you can't do it twice in a row on the newer models. So on the old models, you can keep holding it and it'll keep resetting until you let go. But it looks like on this one, once you reset it once, it's good. Alright, so the computer's working now. Now we're just gonna put the bottom cover back on properly. I probably should have left the back thing on, but let's go ahead now and turn this off. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over. Let's go ahead and pop this back off. So just get underneath and then same thing, pop it like that. Alright, so to get this back on, we have to do it at an angle like this and slide it in. Alright, you don't go too much of an angle. Make sure the edges here line up. So we're going to get this slid back slightly, okay? And then make sure that you can actually push it down pretty flat. And then we're going to slide this up like that. Then we're going to go to the other side, same thing, make sure that's down and slide that up. Then we're going to go ahead and slide this up one more time. Make sure it's completely flush and then check this side. All right, looks good. Now that you got everything flush, check both sides. All right, looks good. We can go ahead and push it all down just like that. And then we just put back the pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screws and we're good to go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Again, these are customer computers. So by the time you see this video, I likely won't have it anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Get all these screws back in. Thank you for watching. You're welcome to stay as I finish putting back all the rest of the screws. But that's pretty much it. Alright, last two. Alright, thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Alright, let's drop this. Bye.